can cover a lot of areas. Hope I am audible for all of you. Today we are going to discuss very important areas, which is very helpful for you to get your UGC net and also the JRF very first time. So wish you all the very best for the today's wonderful session. Hope you will able to recollect all the areas from the session. 1.5 hours will be very much worthy for all of you. So starting with the very important points, you can take the screenshots and also the key points you can note it. Only very important points of some modules we are discussing today in this session. So first of all, we would like to start from the area educational studies. You know very well, very much important area. Around 8 different questions we can expect from the area. Kindly go through the important sessions, note the important points also. Regarding educational studies, you have to keep in mind the different schools of philosophy, who is the propounder, who is the propounder, and also the key concept of schools. Each schools of philosophy you have to keep in mind. So kindly note the first one, it is related to Sankhya philosophy. Always please remember who is the propounder or the founder. So here you can remember the word, the title Sage Kabila. So ultimate aim, what is the concept behind the philosophy? Also you have to remember. It gives more importance for two important concepts, consciousness and materiality. Always remember that type of keywords are taken for framing the questions. So it gives more emphasis on importance of vidya or knowledge. Always remember it gives importance for the element of existence also. So these type of keywords you have to keep in mind. Who is the propounder of the philosophy? Second one, yoga philosophy. There's a lot of direct relation and connection between Sankhya philosophy and yoga philosophy. You have to remember Sage Patanjali is the propounder, founder of yoga philosophy. In his famous writings, Yoga Sutra, it is mentioned. It gives more importance for meditation. It helps for the self-realization. So gives maximum support for the eightfold path of yoga. Ashtanga yoga, that will help for enlightenment. That is the purpose. Then the role of education is always self-transformation and liberation. You have to keep in mind this philosophy is supported by Sage Patanjali. Then Vedanta philosophy, purely based on Vedas, and also especially concentrating on the theoretical writings of Upanishads. So there are Advaita, that means non-dual, Dvaita, dualistic, and Vishishtadvaita. So different major schools related to Vedanta philosophy. And the central concept is given importance for the ultimate reality, Brahman, and also individual self, Atman. So Vedanta philosophy gives more importance for these two concepts, Brahman and Atman. Then education is always for realizing the unity of the individual soul with the universal soul. So integrating together Atman and Brahman. That is the ultimate philosophy behind the Vedanta school of philosophy. Then another school of philosophy we have to remember, very famous one, Buddhist philosophy. You know very well, Siddhartha Gautama Buddha. Buddha is always giving a lot of contribution for our educational system. So you have to remember all that things. Kindly mute your audios, okay? So Buddhist philosophy is propounded by Siddhartha Gautama or Buddha. You have to remember the concepts and what are the emphasis given for education. It is always trying to realize the Four Noble Truth. Eightfold Path is the concept, the main motto behind the Buddhist philosophy. Then it gives more emphasis on impermanence. Then suffering, Dukkha, Satya. That is a key philosophy of our Buddhist philosophy. And education is always focused on the elevation of sufferings and achieving maximum enlightenment or nirvana. That is the key motto of Buddhist philosophy. You have to remember attaining what nirvana. Then you have to remember the concept like eightfold patha, the papaja ceremony, upanayana ceremony. All that things are very, very important. Then regarding the schools of philosophy, idealism, you have to remember who is the key proponent of this school of philosophy. You know very well, the key proponent of idealism is Plato and Immanuel Kant. They gives more importance for our idea and mind, the cognitive area. Then education is always giving more importance for the development of intellect of a person and also the moral character of a person. And every time they view, idealist view, knowledge as a reflection of universal truth and ideals. They gives more importance for ideals. Then wisdom or the knowledge is attained through the pursuit of truth and virtue. These type of key statements are very important for your exams. You have to keep in mind who is the proponent of idealism and what is their key concept regarding that schools of philosophy. Then realism, you know very well, the concept, a lot of people are there who supported realism, but the important names you have to keep in mind, Aristotle, John Locke. You have to remember they advocates, the students have to interact with the natural world. Their empirical observation is very important for the knowledge construction. So Aristotle and John Locke supported maximum the concept of realism. Based on that, study is happening through the interaction with the empirical observation with the natural system, education system. Then education is always focusing on obtaining direct experience or direct knowledge, learning by doing. Then regards knowledge, the accurate representation of reality. What is reality? That is key concept behind this school of philosophy. And knowledge is achieved through the systematic way of study and also understanding the through observation of the facts behind the nature. Then continuation, another school, naturalism, it is a maximum concept associated with Rousseau and John Dewey. Their schools of philosophy gives more important for interacting with the natural environment. Learning is happening in the natural settings, interacting with the nature. And you know very well nowadays, experiential learning is more and more important. Students are coming out of the four walls of the classroom and they are learning through their own experiments or interacting with the nature. Experiential learning is happening. And education is always a process where teachers are having lesser role and the students are having more. So student-centered teaching or child-centered teaching is there. Their interest, their attitudes, their aptitudes are given primary importance. Then knowledge is constructed through the interaction with the physical and social environment. So these are the concepts behind the school naturalism. And another important school of philosophy, that is pragmatism. It is led by William James and John Dewey. See, you have to remember the important teaching methods like problem solving, project method. All that things are coming from this pragmatism. Nowadays, everything is very important. The key focus of this school is practical consequences and learning through problem solving. So education is giving more importance for solving problems and learning by themselves. So regarding the educational concept of pragmatism, knowledge is a tool for addressing and solving problems what they are facing in the real life situation. So please remember who is the proponent of pragmatism. Then another school, it is Marxism. Please remember several times questions were asked from this area. So it is developed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. It gives more emphasis for the social, economic, and historical factors which shape the knowledge of a person. Then education is always, as per their view concepts, it is social transformation and liberation from oppression. So you know very well the concepts and contributions of Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels. Also, you have to please remember regarding any authors, any persons, you have to keep a list of books written by them also. Their philosophical contributions or psychological contribution, and also you have to remember the famous books authored by them. So please remember Marxism, then existentialism. You know very well, the maximum concept supported by Jean-Paul Sartre and Martin Heidegger. They gives more importance for the individual freedom, choice, and responsibility. You know very well nowadays a lot of online platforms are there where the learners are learning by their own choice, and also the responsibility vested on them, and they have the freedom to select any course at any time they can finish. So existentialism gives more importance for fostering authenticity and self-awareness. So kindly remember the founders of existentialism. Then some aspects related to sociology. Kindly remember statement type questions were asked regarding symbolic interactionism, symbolic, then structural functionalism, the theories, important theories related to sociology. Symbolic interactionism, it gives more importance for the role of symbols, language, and communication in obtaining or construction of knowledge. Then the theory of structural functionalism, it gives more importance for they are keeping the society as a complex system, which is interrelated part, which is includes different parts, which will function as a structure, as a social order. Then conflict theory, you have to remember, it gives more importance for the role of power, inequality, and conflict, which shapes the educational process. So kindly remember the theories related to sociology. Then the different social institutions you can remember. And also you have to read maximum regarding what is the role of family as a social institution, then school as a social institution, society, what is the contribution of all that social groups for shaping the students' knowledge. Then the theories of social movements. Please remember, every year there will be one question related to any theory related to the social movement. So relative deprivation theory, which argues that social movement is coming or occurring when individuals or groups feel deprived of resources, rights, or opportunities. Actually, it is one of the traditional concept. Then a resource mobilization theory, that gives more importance for the mobilization or importance of resources, especially money, organization, and leadership. Based on that, social movements are happening. So please remember the relative deprivation theory or resource mobilization theory. Then another thing, political process theory. So here social movement is happening due to the political opportunities and constraints which are available in a particular society or community. There is importance more given for the political parties or institutions. Then new social movement theory, it gives more importance for the issues related to identity, culture, and environment prevailing in a particular society or country. Then socialization and education, you know very well, there are a lot of cultures and values are there. Socialization is helping through education for developing and cultivating that type of values and norms and traditions for the cultivation and transmission of that type of values, norms, and traditions available in a particular community. That is happening only through the socialization. You know very well, a lot of people contributed for the socialization or social change. So here we are going to discuss some of the important contributions by greatest personalities. Definitely there will be one match the following type question will be there. They are usually asking like the same by giving the name of these personalities and also their contribution for the social change. So kindly remember what was the ultimate contribution by these people. So first of all, we have to remember about Swami Vivekananda, and who advocated education. It is a system which combines modern scientific knowledge with spiritual and moral development. So he's always argued for the development of moral aspects of human beings. So education is upliftment of individual and society is the concept. Kindly remember, and what was the famous quotes by these peoples? That also another expected area of question. What are the different quotes, famous quotes given by these peoples for education? Kindly read that type of quotes. Then Rabindranath Tagore, you know very well, Vishwavarda University is the contribution by him. And also you have to remember what are the different educational philosophies. According to him, education is the process which helps for developing creativity, self-expression, and close relationship with the nature. He given more importance for the same. And also you please collect maximum details regarding the famous writings, books of Rabindranath Tagore. Then another thing you have to remember about our Mahatma Gandhi, you know very well the concept of basic education or Nai Talim. What are the contributions given in that? You have to remember the craft-oriented education. You know very well nowadays in our NEP also that type of ideas are again coming. So as per him view, education it is linked to the needs of the community and promote always social justice and equality. You know very well, non-violence is the thing, the method he adopted for getting independence of our India. And you have to remember, there he applied the rules like social justice, promotion of social justice and equality for all. Then you know very well Aravindo. As per his view, always integral education system is very much important for the harmonious development of the different aspects like physical, mental, and the spiritual dimensions of a human being. So you have to remember, education is always in such a manner that will help for the harmonious development of an individual, especially the three aspects like physical, mental, and spiritual dimensions. So that is his perspective. Then J. Krishnamurthy, you have to remember, he is one of the important educator in India. He contributed more and also give more emphasis for development of self-awareness, development of critical inquiry, and freedom from conditioning in education. So always the learning is happening through the self-discovery or holistic learning by the students. That is his viewpoint regarding education process. So kindly remember, each peoples are contributing their views in different ways. Then Paulo Freire, you know very well, the person who propounded the concept of critical pedagogy, and also that helps, or that is a very much important school of philosophy, or we can say the teaching strategy we can adopt for developing critical thinking among the education. See, you know very well, as it is what education is always a tool of conscientization. And so you can remember the banking concept of education. You know very well, as per his view, banking concept of education is the traditional method where the teachers are filling the minds of students. Instead of them, they should think critically, creatively, and also you have to remember the role of divergent thinking, critical thinking, all that things. So that is very much important. Then Mary Wollstonecraft, you know very well, one of the feminist and who is always argued for the women's education and equality in education for women in our society. And as per her view, there should be education with equal opportunity, both genders, and promote maximum women's rights. So, as per her view, education is a tool which helps for upliftment of our women in our society to the maximum without any disparity. Then Neville Noddings, I think 2 or 3 times the questions were asked about this person also. You can remember who introduced the role of care in education, who given more importance for the ethics of care in education, the role of care in education, and emphasizing empathy, nurturing the relationship, and also moral education. So the holistic development of an individual is happening only through the caring community. When we foster the caring community in the sense teachers are having the attitude to care the students just like their own kids. So more importance will be given by the students for care in education. So the role of care in education is more importance given by Nell nodding. Then another important personality, Savitribai Phule, and who always argued for the equality in education for all gender, especially for women education, and who lived in 19th century in India, developed a lot of schools for the education of girls, and always argued for the equality of especially social equality and justice for girls in education. So another small area, national values, which are mentioned in our Indian Constitution. Kindly list in your mind what are the values mentioned in our Constitution. That is the national values: socialism, secularism, justice, liberty, democracy, equality, freedom. Kindly keep in mind, and also you can develop an acronym for the same by taking the first letters of all these values. Then regarding another area, curriculum studies, you can keep in mind the different principles of curriculum construction. Especially the principles include the principle of comprehensiveness, principle of flexibility, then coherence and relevance. Always the curriculum designed by our experts should be dynamic, reflecting the societal changes, and that will satisfy the needs and wants of the society. You have to remember some important areas, the different strategies of curriculum development. Questions ഒരുപാട് തവണ ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഏരിയയാണ് strategies of curriculum development. You have to remember, first one, it is top to down approach. Top to down approach. So as per this, policies and objectives are set at national or institutional level, trickle down to specific curriculum designs. So from the top means the national to the district level institutions. Then bottom to up approach. Here the curriculum, it is designed on the basis of the specific needs and context of learners. So you know very well the beneficiaries of educational curriculum is the learners. They are getting more priority. So in bottom to up approach, they are giving more importance for the needs and wants and preference of the learners. Then interactive approach, there they are collaborating with the experts in the field of education. So interactive in the sense, when the curriculum is framed, more importance is given for the viewpoints of teachers, students, parents, then experts, expert educators in this field, and also another private policy makers. They are getting more priority. So kindly remember, top-down approach, bottom-up approach, interactive approach in the curriculum design. Several times questions were asked in this area. We have to write in the order. All these steps will be given in a shuffled manner. We have to arrange as per the order. What are the stages in the process of curriculum development? So kindly keep in mind, first of all, the first step, it is identification of needs and objectives. Based on that, designing the curriculum structure. Then the selection of appropriate content, methods, and assessment strategies. And after that, we are implementing the curriculum. And once it is implemented, there will be continuous evaluation for updation and changes. Then there are a lot of contributions for the curriculum designing and planning from the schools of philosophy. So when we consider the philosophical basis, you know very well, now only we have revised the different schools of philosophy. They are contributing a lot of things like national identity, cultural heritage and values, and also the democratic principles, giving more importance like inclusivity and social justice are considered while curriculum planning. Then the sociological base, when we consider the sociological basis, we have to remember the present social context and also the cultural diversity of our country, then the socio-economic factors influencing our society, the community needs. Based on, we can frame the curriculum. Then psychological basis, you know very well, based on the cognitive, emotional, and social development of our learners, we can frame the curriculum. So kindly keep in mind all these things. Then what is benchmarking? You have to remember, when we frame a curriculum, there should be some certain standards, practices which are used as a benchmark for comparison of our present and previous curriculums. So you have to keep in mind, it is only for improving the previous one with the updations as per the changing requirements. Then you know very well, lot of national organizations are there behind the curriculum development. You have to remember the role of UGC, University Grant Commission, who is formulating always a lot of standards and maintaining the quality standards for our curriculum development. Then NCT, National Council for Teacher Education, who is controlling the curriculum design and development programs all over India. Then you know very well, different universities are there who are actively involved in the curriculum development with positive and productive suggestions. So a lot of government, central government and state government organizations are there who are actively participating in the curriculum development. Now also you know very well, as per the national education policy, all these authorities are included in the curriculum updation and change. So another important area you have to give consideration, the models of curriculum design. What are the different models we can utilize for the curriculum design? So kindly remember in mind the traditional models. Different sessions are there. So you have to keep in mind which one is coming under the traditional and different other modern or another different type of models are coming. So academic or discipline based model. So from the word itself, you can frame how it is related to. So academic or discipline-based model gives more importance for the mastery of content knowledge and skill within the specific domain only. So academic or discipline-based model gives more importance or priority for the development and construction of knowledge. But the second one, social function or activities model, or you can remember the word social construction model. It focuses on preparing students for facing the or taking the different roles of the society, different responsibilities of the society. So always the curriculum is framed with the content which are helping for the construction of social values and norms prevailing in our society. So these two models are coming under traditional model. Please remember. Another category, contemporary model. So here, first one, it is competency-based model. So you know very well, as per this curriculum, which it is giving more importance for the development of different competencies of the students. You know very well, teaching methods are planned like that. The different skills, maybe soft skills, life skills, all the things are given priority through the teaching learning process. Then another contemporary model include individual needs and interest model. You know very well, as the title indicates, it gives more importance for the attitudes and aptitudes or the unique needs and interest of students or the individual who are included in the curriculum. So you have to remember, student-centered approaches are coming as per this individual needs or interest model. So kindly remember that contemporary model. Then another one method, it is CIPP model. Questions were asked from the same also. You please remember the expansion of CIPP. C for context, I for input, P for process, and another P for product. It gives more importance for this process. Kindly keep in mind and read maximum regarding the contemporary model CIPP. Then what is instructional system? All of you know very well. It includes all the teaching methods, the plans, the instruction, the different instructional objectives which are designed to achieve. and the different methods what we are adopting for the attainment of objectives, and the different tools we are using for the assessment and evaluation of students' performance. All these things are collectively known as instructional system. Nowadays the role of media is very important, especially the mass media or the modern digital medias are playing a relevant role in the development of education or knowledge. So instructional media, it includes different examples like visual aids, audio visual materials, interactive softwares, digital resources, and you can take the most modern AI resources also. So which helps for the enhancement of curriculum and also the achievement of instructional objectives. So actually they are scaffolders. Then the different approaches to evaluation of the curriculum. You have to remember, based on the previous different models, the curriculum evaluation approaches are coming. What is curriculum evaluation? We are checking the effectiveness of curriculum. So academic based approach. There we can check whether the curriculum is framed for development of the specific and complex knowledge included in the different subjects of the curriculum. So traditional methods like tests, quizzes, examinations, they can adopt for its evaluation. Then competency-based approach, here curriculum is evaluated. Students, based on the students' mastery of specific competencies up to the extreme, the extent which the students are developing the skills or competencies mentioned for each topic or content of the curriculum. Then Taylor's model, you have to remember Taylor's model. Here they are assessing the curriculum based on some key questions, like what are the objectives of the curriculum, how are they organized, how is learning facilitated for the learners inside the and outside the classroom, how is learning evaluated. So using that questions, we are assessing the curriculum plan. So remember Taylor's model, then Stake model, it gives more importance for the consideration of stakeholders' involvement in the curriculum planning. You know very well how much they considered while constructing the curriculum, how much they considered the viewpoints of teachers, students, experts, and different stakeholders of our education system or who are living in our society. Then another model of curriculum evaluation include Scriven's model that gives more importance for 4 areas like context evaluation, input evaluation, and process evaluation or product evaluation. So based on that, for sub-evaluation tools, we are analyzing the curriculum plan. Then Kirkpatrick's model. Kirkpatrick's model, there they are assessing the relevance of planned or developed curriculum. There also they are consisting for different levels of evaluation. Reaction in the sense how much the learners are satisfied. Then learning, how much the knowledge and skill acquired by our students. Behavior, how much it is applied by them in our natural surroundings. Then the results, impact on our organizational goals. How much up to the maximum extreme whether the results are achieved or not. So Kirkpatrick model, you have to remember what are the different steps included in the same, the 4 levels included in that model. Then what is the concept of curriculum change? The modification happening in our curriculum, what is happened whether there is any updation from the previous to the present one. So the modifications are known as curriculum change, and the different types of curriculum change include incremental change. Incremental change means, so you know very well, updations in the technology will bring more and more teaching methods, more and more methods of learning acquisition and evaluation. All that things are happening. So incremental change is made to the existing curriculum with some updations and adjustments. But the structural change means everything is altered. It changes the overall framework of our curriculum based on some rules or policies of the government. Then transformational change, that type of curriculum change brings a holistic shift in educational philosophy based on the goals or the approaches. Based on the different philosophical thoughts, they are changing. Then the different factors, you please remember, it is only a small general area. What are the different factors affecting curriculum change? Kindly keep in mind the points. Societal change, educational philosophies and goals, research and innovations bring a lot of changes. Due to the government policies and standards, there will be change in curriculum. And also the input, whatever may be provided by the stakeholders like students, teachers, parents, employers, community members, experts in the field of education. Based on that, also changes happening. So already we mentioned some approaches regarding curriculum change. Please remember the top-down approach, bottom-up approach, collaborative approach regarding the curriculum change also. Then another small area you can keep in mind, the different types of research in curriculum studies related to the different type of researches conducted in relation to curriculum studies. Several qualitative researches are conducted based on the subjective experience, the perspectives, and different curriculum phenomena. But quantitative researches are there a lot regarding the very well qualitative research and quantitative researchers. Quantitative researchers, they are analyzing the implementation of curriculum, especially through the experimental studies they are conducting and comparing whether which one is better, the traditional or modern curriculum is better. Then mixed methods they are approaching, very well, experimental survey method, different type of methods they are adopting for conducting research. And also in our classrooms also we can adopt action researches, which will give a solution to the problem what they are facing, the challenges facing in the classroom or in the educational scenario. So the qualitative research, quantitative research, mixed method research, and action research can be conducted regarding the curriculum implementation and studies. Another important area you have to remember, pedagogy and andragogy and assessment. Please remember, very important theories are coming. You know very well, pedagogy, it is a practical implementation of our theory. We are implementing the theory into practice, especially in the teaching learning process. We are adopting a lot of teaching methods, instructional strategies, and learning process, evaluation, providing feedback. All that things are collectively known as pedagogy. You know very well. It helps for designing our day-to-day activities in our classroom also, making learning more relevant. You know very well content analysis and pedagogical analysis. Content analysis, we are analyzing the content only, but in pedagogical analysis, based on that content, we are planning the different instructional objectives or goals to be achieved and the methods to be followed and the assessment strategies for checking whether they achieved the instructional objectives. Then another important area, please remember the order in the stages of pedagogical analysis. Definitely different times, 2 or 3 times the questions were asked from the same area. What are the steps or stages included in the pedagogical analysis? You know very well. First of all, we have to conduct the identification of different learning objectives to be achieved. ഏതൊക്കെയാണ് different learning objectives നമ്മൾ നേടേണ്ടത് through the particular curriculum that we have to analyze. Then analyzing the learner characteristics and needs. You know very well, there will be a targeted learners or group of people who are going to obtain the benefits of teaching learning process. So we have to analyze their needs. Based on their needs only, we have to give the materials and adoption of teaching methods will be happening. So based on that needs of learners, we are selecting appropriate instructional methods and materials are planned based on the same. And continuation, once we implement or utilize the instructional methods and material, we will start the assessment. So designing assessment strategies to measure students' learning. So that is the last step included in the pedagogical analysis. Kindly remember the steps in order: identifying learning objective, analyzing learner characteristics and needs, selecting appropriate instructional methods and material, designing assessment strategies to measure students' learning. Then you know very well on thing related to pedagogy, you have to always remember every year they are asking one question related to Paulo Freire or the concept of critical pedagogy. So regarding pedagogy, one of the word updation in our teaching learning process, it is the role of developing critical thinking. Critical thinking that is happening only with the support of critical pedagogy. So you have to remember in mind the possibility of applying critical thinking, critical pedagogy, that is also fostering critical thinking, reflection, their own mental reflection and action that promotes social transformation and liberation. Lot of things are happening. Students will be very much active and there will be highly effective problem solvers through the critical pedagogy. Please remember who is the contributor and different teaching models we are adopting as a part of our pedagogical analysis. So kindly remember the names and what is the emphasis given by them for its teaching learning process. So memory level, or it is otherwise known as Herbartian level, Herbartian model. See, the major focus of this teaching model gives more importance for the systematic presentation and repetition of content. You know very well, trial and error method, read and repetition helps for memorization and retention. So memory level, or otherwise it is known as Herbartian model. Then understanding level, or Morrison teaching model. It gives more importance for the concept of understanding the knowledge through active engagement by the student, discussion by them, and also application of the acquired knowledge in life-related situations. So kindly remember the another name, understanding level or Morrison teaching model. Then the third one, it is a reflective level. A reflective level, it is otherwise known as Big and Hunt teaching model. It is always ensuring the critical reflection and analysis and synthesis of learning experience. It helps for maximum promotion of metacognition. You know very well metacognition, that is promoting through the reflective level model, reflective level teaching model. So that's all regarding pedagogy, the important aspects. And andragogy, you know very well, it is related to the theory and practice of adult education, the continuing education or the lifelong education. So it gives more focus on the unique characteristics and needs of adult learners, what they are preferring, what is their needs and wants. And you please remember in andragogy, some principles are there. You have to keep in mind the principles include self-directed learning, relevance to learners' experience, and problem-centered approach. And they are giving more importance for the competencies of self-directed learning, and it includes goal setting, self-monitoring, and self-evaluation. So andragogy, you know very well, after some time when they become adult, students starting learning by themselves. They are collecting from different sources and obtaining the knowledge through different ways. So that is the andragogy of education. And please remember the different concepts related to assessment. It's very important. 2-3 questions you will get from the area of assessment. Kindly remember and try to note the points regarding assessment. You know very well what is assessment. It is very important for checking whether the teaching learning process is very effective or not. It gives more results like measuring the achievement in particular teaching learning process, Tools for providing immediate feedback for the students. You know very well, immediate feedback will help the students to improve their performance, and it is for making changes and updation in our teaching learning strategies. So assessment is very important. So different perspectives of assessment you have to consider. Assessment for learning, you know very well, assessment for learning, assessment as learning, assessment of learning. Kindly remember and read the explanations. Only short notes are there. Assessment for learning, you know very well, it gives more important and focus on assessment, how the assessment strategies are used to support and enhance students' learning. Timely, you know very well, once we conduct a small unit test, we should give the answers purpose with the correction explanation, and also we can give immediate feedback for the students. Then assessment of learning, it gives more importance for evaluating students' achievement, and also they are checking whether it is achieved up to the maximum at the end of the course or program. So assessment of for learning is happening in between the course. Assessment of learning is happening at the end of the completion of the program or course. Then assessment as learning, it includes the assessment of active involvement of student, engagement of student in the teaching learning process. And you have to remember the three concepts: assessment for learning, of learning, as learning. Then you please remember what are the different types of assessments. You know, there will be a particular rank after completion of or grade after completion of every courses. So placement assessment is there. It evaluates students' knowledge and skill, how much it is achieved. Then formative assessment is conducted at in between the course, maybe term and examination or unit test are example for formative assessment. Then diagnostic assessment, you know very well, which helps to check the strong areas and weak areas. If it is weak area, how much concentration to be given. Then summative assessment, you know very well, it is happening at the end of the course or program. After that, only the summative evaluation is happening. So all these things are related to the type of assessment. Then you know very well, we are planning or constructing the tools of assessment based on some psychological aspects, especially using the Bloom's taxonomy. So three domains are there. You have to remember cognitive domain propounded by Anderson and Krathwohl. You know very well the 6 different instructional objectives, starting from the remembering. And you have to remember how much it is helping for the critical and creative thinking. That is the last one. So cognitive domain, it is contributed by Anderson and Krathwohl. Then affective domain, it is propounded by Krathwohl. Gives more importance for receiving, responding, valuing, then organizing and characteristics. That are the steps included in the learning. Then the contributions of psychomotor domain, R.H. Dave. So it gives more importance for the physical skills and abilities. That includes the imitation, manipulation, precision, then articulation and naturalization. So psychomotor domain, in that R.H. Dave gives more importance for that type of psychological aspects. So kindly remember another element of assessment. Questions are asked. Definitely one question will be there regarding the different concepts of feedback. You know very well, teaching learning process is progressing with appropriate and attractive feedbacks given to the students. Then the types of feedback include feedback devices can be written or verbal feedback. Then self-assessment or peer assessment will be there. We can use a lot of scoring rubrics. Then checklists we can utilize. Then prototypes and reflective journals we can utilize. So kindly remember, then effective, the criteria what we are using for giving feedback. You know very well that feedback should be a timely one. It should be a specific and very short statement or whatever may be the ideas we are giving. It should be constructive and actionable. So always it focus on the strength as well as the area of improvement needed. Kindly remember, feedback, it is very important for attaining instructional objective effectively. You know very well, normally when we give the feedback, it can be done in the form of guidance also. So it is the support given by the teacher to the students for helping and improving their knowledge. And you have to remember, guidance is always provided by the experts in the field of teacher in the form of scaffolding, modeling, coaching, mentoring, then providing resources and references. So it's very important for fostering the autonomy and independence of students. Then you have to remember how we can assess the portfolios. Nowadays, it is a very important element of our assessment system. You know very well, portfolio includes a lot of collection based on some themes. Students are collecting a lot of ideas and items that will be arranged in a systematic order through the files. We can develop in a traditional mode or in the form of a digital mode also we can develop. But you know, once they finish and submit the portfolios, we have to keep in mind how we can assess the portfolio. So we can consider the factors like quality, the relevance of the concept what they taken, competencies achieved by the students. Then the portfolio include whether all the contents. So we have to consider a lot of factors. Portfolio, it can include what samples of student work, their paper cutting works, collections, small collections, reflections, and also their own report regarding the collection and preparation of portfolio. So its assessment also very important on. Then you know very well our own personal reflections can be done and prepared for a long period of time. We can keep it through reflective journal. It is another important record. Students are reflecting their own views, their own thoughts. So reviewing this is also very important. Reviewing that reflective journal is very important for checking whether the students are up to the maximum or whether they learned up to the maximum, whether the skills developed, how they constructed or connected the knowledge. All the things are able to assess through reflective journal. Then you know very well the role of rubrics. Rubrics means you know very well it is scoring gates to assess the performance of students. We can conduct this type of field engagement also, where we can directly observe how they are connecting together. Everything we can assess very productively. Then another small concept you have to remember regarding our educational assessment, it is competency-based evaluation. You please remember the competency-based evaluation concept, where they are giving more importance for the assessment of obtainment and the mastery of students' skills. Nowadays it is very important. You know very well, when we plan our lesson also, we will give more priority for what are the skills and competencies we are going to develop through the lesson, particular lesson we are teaching in a particular day. So you have to remember competency-based evaluation. We will list out what are the competencies that will be developed by the students from the same. Then regarding assessment, what we discussed up to this, it is regarding performance of students. What are the assessment we can do regarding the achievement of students' learning outcome, their portfolio, all that things. Now the assessment is regarding teacher prepared materials. What are the different teacher prepared materials, especially ICT resources? How we can assess it? You know very well, there are certain criteria for checking the effectiveness of teacher prepared materials or ICT resources. We can remember whether it is up to the mark, whether it is able to achieve the objectives, whether it is relevant or not, how much it is effective for achieving the instructional objectives. So, lot of criteria are there. The criteria include it is how much helping for the attainment of learning objective, how much they are actively participating in the teaching learning process, then the usability, how much it is freely accessible for all the students, everything will be considered. So you have to remember it is very important regarding the same. Then you know very well, teacher-pupil interaction is very much important in our classroom. It can be assessed using some tools also, like Flanders interaction analysis. You know very well, it is one of the important contribution where we are using different tapped and indirect observation for assessing the teacher-pupil relationship. We are considering different criteria like teacher talk, student talk, teacher-student interaction, how much it is there. So Flanders interaction analysis, we are assessing how much teacher-pupil relationship is there, how much they are interacting together. So that is very important. Then another thing, another method we can adopt, it is Galloway's system of interaction analysis, where we can use interaction metrics. You please remember, there will be certain patterns that is connected together with an interaction metrics. Interaction metrics will be used for noting the various interaction happening, how much frequently it is happening in the teaching learning process. So kindly remember the two important tools of interaction analysis. Interaction in the sense teacher-pupil interaction. Then you please remember rubrics. Rubrics that will be helpful for self-evaluation and peer evaluation. You know very well, when we conduct assessment of students' performance, we can use different rubrics for assessing the performance. So please remember the steps which included in the construction of that type of rubrics. First one, you have to remember, identify the learning objectives or criteria for evaluation. So every time you have to remember what are the different objectives we are going to achieve and the criteria for evaluation. Then we have to think about the different performance levels, defining that performance level or descriptors for each criteria. Then another thing you have to remember, develop specific indicators or benchmarks. You know very well, we have to assess the performance of teachers and students. So we have to record it based on the indicators or the criteria. Then provide examples or evidence to illustrate each level of performance. We have to give example. Then after that, we have to conduct the pilot test and revise the rubrics as needed based on feedback and evaluation. So we can collect a lot of feedback from the parties who are conducting this examination or who are actively participating in the evaluation. So kindly note all these steps related to the rubrics preparation. Then another important area, educational management, administration and leadership. Here you can remember the role of educational management and administration. 2-3 questions you will get from this area. So you please remember what is educational management, what are the principles, its importance you have to remember. You know very well, management is a process of which includes the different functions like planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. So in every educational institution, the role of educational management is very, very important. You can remember it is very important for preparing records and attaining the organizational objectives. So these are the principles you have to keep in mind while managing an educational institution. So you please remember equity and fairness in access to education. So as per this principle, you know very well, our Indian Constitution also suggesting free and compulsory primary education for all without any priorities and or differences. That is the first principle, equity and fairness in access to education. Everyone is equal in front of the law to access the education at free of cost. Then another principle you have to remember, efficiency and effectiveness in resource utilization. We have to utilize our resources, especially material, financial resources effectively. So mobilizing and saving and implementing the same based on plans are very important. Then democratic decision making by involving stakeholders. That is very important for the administration of an educational institution. Here we are checking whether all the things are or the decisions are taken based on the democratic by including all the peoples by giving equal consideration. Then another principle you have to remember, continuous improvement through evaluation and feedback. We have to update our educational system based on the changing atmospheres. We have to consider the feedback obtained from the different stakeholders for its changes. Please remember a small area, different functions of educational management, planning, deciding in advance what is to be done in future. Organizing means structuring the resources like financial, material, and human resources in an organization. And directing. Directing includes giving directions or guidance and motivating and inspiring the members of the organization for effective work. And controlling means we are measuring the performance, monitoring the performance of the employees, then comparing with the standards, whether we are achieving the same objective as per plans, and taking corrective action. So three important functions included in the process of controlling. Then coordinating, another function, which helps for harmonizing efforts and across different departments and levels. Coordinating means we are integrating together all the efforts of all the members of an organization. So planning, organizing, directing, controlling, and coordination. Please remember the points. You can identify what are the different points indicating the importance of educational management. You know very well, educational management enhances the quality of education, then ensures optimum utilization of resources. It facilitates for innovation and adoption to change. New changes happening in our society and community due to the technological advancement can be possible. Then always educational management promotes accountability and transparency. And it is always fostering a conducive learning environment for everyone in the educational system. So please remember the points. Enhances the quality of education, optimum use of resources, innovation and adoption, accountability and transparency, then conducive learning environment can be prepared using the same. Questions ഒത്തിരി ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ടോപ്പിക് ആണ് പോസ്റ്റ് കോർബ് ആൻഡ് CPM PERTers, then our different tools of controlling regarding administration. So what is post core? Actually, it is a short form of the different functions of educational management by taking the first letters of planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, reporting, and budgeting. So P for planning, O for organizing, S for staffing, D for directing, O for coordinating, then R for reporting, and B for budgeting. Then another important tool regarding the controlling and management of an organization, it is CPM and PERT. And remember the expansion of CPM, critical path method. And PERT means program or program evaluation and review technique. Program evaluation and review technique. Both the tools are very important for managing our educational institutions. So kindly remember the expansion. CPM means critical path method. PERT means program evaluation and review technique. Then every time it is for the betterment of our education system. We have to conduct, as a part of educational management, we have to conduct a SWOT analysis. Please remember, SWOT analysis means S stands for strength, W stands for weakness, O stands for opportunity, T stands for threats. You know very well, there are some certain strength of the organization. Then we have to identify what are the weakness or weak areas of our organization, and what are the opportunities available for our members or members of the organization. Then we have to assess what are the threats we are facing or we are going to face. We can predict it. So SWOT expansion, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. Then Taylorism. You have to remember regarding the management. One of the foremost contributor in scientific management. You know, father of scientific management, it is Frederick Taylor. You have to give importance for the same. As per scientific management, everything in the organization should be done in a scientific manner. According to Taylor, the importance should be given for emphasizing efficiency, standardization, and specialization of tasks that we can divide us. So please remember these two concepts regarding educational management. Then a small topic regarding leadership. Please remember different approaches to leadership include trait approach. Kindly note the name of the leadership approach, and also you have to find out the contributions made by some authors also there who are the proponents of this leadership approach, and you have to consider what is the theory and the main motto behind the leadership concept. You know, different types of leaders are there. Autocratic, democratic, laissez-faire leaders are there. But the approach kindly list out all these approaches also. Each one is giving a different way of leadership. So trait approach, transformational leadership, transactional leadership, value-based leadership, cultural leadership, then psychodynamic leadership, and also charismatic leadership. All that things are entirely different, and some are connected also. You know very well TQM. Definitely we can expect one question regarding quality in education. How we can maintain the quality in education? You know very well. We can conduct continuous and in between inspections. You know very well, periodic inspections help for the betterment of our education system, whether they are doing like the same. Educational experts, they can frame a on board, and they can continuously and periodically also they can conduct this evaluation of inspection. Then quality control, you know very well, we have to assess the performance of the performance through the benchmark, using the benchmarks. So based on that, we can control the quality also. Control the quality in the sense, if we want any improvements, that we can do. Then total quality management. You know very well, everyone is in the educational system, they want qualitative outputs. The performance must be up to the maximum. So total quality management is showing a holistic approach which gives more importance for improvement in the teaching method, increasing maximum learner participation, then improving the employees' involvement, and gives more importance for achieving the educational goals. So total quality management. Then another thing you have to remember regarding quality in education, it is the concept or theory of Six Sigma. So which helps for achieving the organizational objectives very effectively through the effective adoption of teaching methods and implementing the plans with the least defects and able to achieve the educational goals very quickly. So kindly note this type of general areas also, quality in education. And another thing you have to remember, the contributions done by some quality gurus regarding the quality in education. You have to remember these people's names and what was their contribution. You have to remember, match the following questions you will get from the same area. So at least you please remember who are quality gurus, who argued for the same. So first of all, Walter Shewhart. He is known as the father of statistical quality control. Shewhart is known as the father of statistical quality control and developed the concept of statistical process control, SPC, and Shewart's cycle. That is another contribution, and you have to remember both the same. Then Edward Deming. ഒരുപാട് തവണ മാച്ച് ദ ഫോളോയിങ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചോദിച്ചപ്പോൾ കണ്ട പേരുകളാണ് ഈ പേരുകളൊക്കെ. സോ ഓർത്തിരിക്കുക, എഡ്വേർഡ് ഡെമിങ്, renowned for his contribution to the quality management, especially he introduced the Deming cycle. What is that Deming cycle? Plan, do, check, act. Once again, please remember, plan, do, check, act. That is the concept of Deming cycle, and it gives more importance for the leadership, teamwork, and continuous improvement in our teaching learning process. Then another person you have to remember regarding quality guru, C.K. Prahlad. You know, a management thinker, is known for his work on core competencies. Always he argued for the strategic qualitative management approach and gives more importance for strengthening the capability of effective management in the organization. So quality gurus, you please remember Walter Shewhart, Edward Deming, Prahlad, C.K. Prahlad. Kindly remember what is the concept of change management. You know very well regarding our educational system, lot of changes are happening every year. Here, change management refers to it is a structured way of transiting individuals, terms, and our organizational members. And you know very well there are a lot of changes happening in our system, our educational system, or in the teaching learning process that we can bring into existence in our institutions also, using the concept of change management. So what is change management? We are adopting such an approach for implementing and accepting the concept of change management, which helps to achieve the strategic objectives of the organization. Then you please remember regarding change management, the three steps. Three steps include unfreezing, moving, refreezing. So how we can bring change in the organization, or how we can manage the change in the organization using these three steps. That is why three-step model of change: unfreezing, moving, refreezing. What is unfreezing? It includes creating awareness about the why it is needed, why the change is needed. That is unfreezing. Moving means, computerization in education. Now, AI is taking the role. Before that, traditional teaching methods are implemented. Once we started using computer, we started to use in different modes. So unfreezing in the sense we are giving maximum awareness regarding the change going to happen. Then moving in the sense we are implementing the change through proper communication and by giving training to the policy makers, restructuring everything. Rephrasing means what? Giving maximum reinforcement for the participants of the program, and we are giving maximum ideas how to implement it. How we are converting, we are molding the behaviors of teachers to utilize the updations. This is one of the important area. Different times they asked a question regarding the Japanese models of change. Actually, it is not purely related to education. Purely it is related to management. So it is not a theory from education perspective. You please remember just-in-time model. You please remember JIT or just-in-time model. It aimed to minimize inventory and waste by delivering products or services just when they are needed to the consumers, like the same. So teaching learning process we can give based on the needs of the learners just in time when they demands. Then Pokayoke refers to mistake proofing techniques that prevent errors or defects. So kindly remember what is Japanese model of change. You know very well, in order to keep the educational process a qualitative one, we have to give some amount in the form of different cost. So you can remember the cost of quality is very, very large sometimes, it includes appraisal cost, failure cost, preventable cost, all that things. Appraisal cost means what? The cost which is incurred to evaluate, assess, and monitor the quality of education. Failure cost means what? The cost which is incurring due to the defects, errors, or sometimes due to fraud. Preventable cost means that we can control and also we can avoid. That is preventable cost. Then in order to ensure the quality of our education system, there are a lot of education institutions are there, like National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAC. You know very well, we have discussed in detail. They are assessing and giving accreditation for the higher education institutions in India based on a lot of parameters and criteria. So they are taking the role of institutional assessment and providing accreditation ratings and also giving a lot of policies for promoting the quality, enhancement of quality. Then Quality Council of India, QCI, that is another organization for maintaining quality in educational system. They're actually promoting and monitoring the quality standards across the country. Then they are developing different frameworks, rules to be followed by the institutions in education or hospital. Then International Network of Quality Assurance Agencies in Higher Education, INQAAHE. The ultimate aim of this organization is enhancing the quality and credibility of our higher education up to the global level. So giving maximum support for developing the building, promoting research and innovation in the teaching learning process, and also increasing the quality standards of our organization. Moving to the last module, that is research in education. You keep in mind a very important area, 10 mark sure questions will be there from this module. You know very well different scales we are using for measurement, that is types of measurement scale include nominal scale. Examples are there, you can read it, where we are ranking the ranking using some criteria, especially gender, ethnicity, then marital status. Then ordinal scale helps to measure the data using the intervals, using some intervals. So it represents the data with a defined order or ranking. Ranking in the sense we are using some values to categorize or grouping the data. So nominal scale, ordinal scale, then interval scales, where we are taking certain values. We are creating certain intervals of equal difference, or ratio scales also we are using for grouping our collected data. It represents the data with equal intervals between values, and a true 0 point will be there. So questions are asked, which scale is having a true 0 point? So you can keep in mind the ratio scale is having a true 0 point. So remember, descriptive data analysis. You know very well, as a researcher, you know very well the role of different statistical tools for conducting data analysis. You have to remember measures of central tendency. The descriptive data analysis, which includes the calculation of mean, median, mode, and the central value, average value of data set, we can assess using measures of central tendency, especially the tools 3Ms: mean, median, and mode. And moving to some extreme level, we can use the measures of variability to assess the dispersion, spread of data from the central point. There we can utilize the statistical tools like a range, calculation of range, variance, and standard deviation. That is one of the important statistical tools we are using to check the spread of collected data. Then fiduciary limits are very much important, where we are providing, all the fiduciary limits are providing a particular range of values, where we are using parametric and non-parametric techniques. Then regarding data analysis, graphical representation of data is very important. You know very well, reading and by analyzing the data, the values from a table, it is time consuming. So using a simple histogram or bar chart or box plots or pie charts, scatter plots, we can very easily identify the results of the analysis. Very quickly we can analyze. You have to remember in mind the different types of errors. It's very important. Type 1 error, type 2 error. What is type 1 error? You have to remember rejecting a true null hypothesis. You can keep the word, the key value point, false positive. False positive means rejecting a true null hypothesis. Then type 2 errors are coming when failing to reject. There is false negative, a false null hypothesis, they are not able to reject. They are not rejecting. Researchers are not rejecting. So failing to reject a false null hypothesis, that is false negative or type 2 error. Then what is level of significance? You can keep in mind the probability threshold. We are using some values, stable values, and comparing it with the obtained value to come into certain conclusion. You have to keep in mind the same. Then power of statistical test. What is the power of a statistical test? You know very well, we are framing lot of hypotheses based on some objectives of our research. So power of a statistical test means what? It helps to check the probability of correctly rejecting a false null hypothesis. Then you please remember the word effect size. It is actually a measure of magnitude of a treatment effect or a difference between groups. Then another important area related to research, it is you have to keep in mind the examples related to parametric techniques and non-parametric techniques. You can keep in mind parametric techniques are needed when we are able to satisfy the assumptions of normality and homogeneity of variance. So parametric techniques of or statistical techniques are used where it is required when the assumptions about the population distribution, like normality, assumption of normality and homogeneity of variance are satisfied. There we can utilize depending upon the research, we can utilize the t-test, ANOVA, ANGOVA, linear regression like this. When we are not able to satisfy the assumptions, that time we can utilize non-parametric techniques. You know very well, when we are not able to achieve the assumptions of normality and homogeneity of variance, if that is not, that parametric techniques are not suitable. So that time we can utilize the tests like Mann-Whitney U-test, then Kruskal-Wallis test, and chi-square test. We can utilize lot of test, some other examples also there, which will be utilized for non-parametric techniques. Then we can utilize some more tools for inferential data analysis, especially for comparing two values. Correlation, it measures the strength and direction of the relationship. T-test, it determines the significant difference between two groups. Z-test, almost similar to the t-test, but it is used for large sample size. Then ANOVA and GOVA. ANOVA, analysis of variance that analyze the difference among three or more group means. ANGOVA, analysis of covariance, which helps to check the significant difference also. Then chi-square test, it does the association between the different category of variables. So these tools are helping for checking the reliability and validity of our data collected and analysis. Then what is qualitative data analysis? You have to keep in mind what is qualitative data analysis. It includes different elements like data reduction and classification. So data reduction and classification means considering and organizing qualitative data into manageable units or categories. It is not an easy task to analyze the qualitative data. Quantitative data we can analyze through different statistical techniques. Then we have to conduct analytical induction. When we conduct a qualitative data analysis, we have to conduct analytical induction. You know, induction, it is a method of qualitative analysis where theories are developed based on the patterns observed in the data. നമ്മൾ അനലൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് കോമൺ ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ വരുന്ന പാറ്റേൺ വെച്ചിട്ട് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു? We are developing theories. Then constant comparison is another important technique which helps to compare and contrast the collected data. So we can find out some similarities and differences included in the qualitative data. Then we have discussed in detail the concept of triangulation. That also related to qualitative data analysis. What is triangulation? You please remember. It includes using different sources, methods, or perspectives to validate the findings and enhance the credibility of outputs of the qualitative research. So triangulation helps only for bringing maximum validity for the findings of the qualitative research. So that are the important area what we want to discuss today. So you can read a lot of things from the same concepts. Around 5 different modules we took for conducting the marathon. Kindly keep in mind all these items and headings. You will get the file. It includes different questions, expected questions and answers also, especially from all these fields. Some questions were framed regarding some of the questions were asked in the previous NET exams also. So you can go through the questions, especially for different schools of philosophy. What we discussed now only, the different steps, different quotings by the different personalities. All these things you can read and by heart. And what is the major important ceremonies related to the same. What is the focus of different schools of philosophy? Like that, different questions also framed. You will get these resources. Kindly go through the resources once again. I hope the session is very useful for you. If you have any comments and suggestions, you can paste in the chat. You can approach the coordinators for the material. Definitely, whatever may be the files I have prepared, shared it to them. Lot of questions also framed. You can go through the same. Okay. So wish you all the very best. Definitely, all of you will get the net and jar of this December. So give the maximum contribution for the same. Wish you all the very best.